Welcome back to the Whiskey. I'm Calvin.
I'm Sam.
Today we're having the Glenfarclas 18.
Alrighty, so Glenfarclas 18. We got this one a while ago. I got
The
105 cask.
Yeah.
That's long gone.
Yeah.
This one's lasted though. It's still good, but I just preferred the 105 just in general because cask strength just much more just more intense flavors. But this is really nice. The 105 I don't think had anywhere near the age statement that this does. So you're gonna get a bit more kind of just development in the flavors. They're pretty typical for a Speyside, which is Highlands.
Yeah,
pretty much same thing. Backstory, basically 1836 was started. It's owned by J&G Grant. That's like it. They're just like they're very well known. Like people know.
They're extremely well known. Yeah.
They're when you're looking for age statement whiskies that aren't going to break the bank. Glenfarclas is one of them. I guess like similar to Glenmoray in that sense, like you can get some pretty high age statement release.
Somewhat cheap. I reckon this is a lot better than Glen.
I think it's generally, I haven't tried much from Glenmoray, but generally from what I've had, I've enjoyed this a bit more. 43%?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 43%. But yeah, so stock standard Highland single malt, really easy to come by. Most people who have had scotches or at least in the game have heard of it, seen it. We thought like this is like embarrassing, but when I remember seeing it in the background of Whiskey Vault, and we're like, what the hell? Why is it like? Is that Penfolds or something that they've got at the back? Remember, because of the font and stuff.
Yeah,
like we were, for some reason it was like blurry in the background. We didn't really know anything about whiskey at the time. We're like, is that like Penfolds? Oh, it's funny.
It's funny, yeah.
We're like, what the hell is that, Penfolds or something? But yeah, so it's everywhere. Like you see it everywhere in the background of people's shots. You see it in every liquor store ever.
I mean, it's hugely popular.
Yeah. So we'll get into the nose.
Honey malt.
Honey sultanas and a ton of malt.
These aren't single malts, aren't they? Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
It's smelling like not like a cheap blend, but it's got that kind of Johnny almost kind of
like a higher kind of maybe grain whiskey. Yeah, bit of that more like kind of like a light kind of
like a light
vanilla kind of
like zesty
vanilla essence kind of
yeah.
Tons of malt and tons of musky sweetness, like wet hay, tons of vanilla and toffee and stuff. Heaps of fruit.
Green apples.
A lot of fruit. Plums,
a lot of
raisins
as well.
Yeah, and we're not big fans of that at the moment. It never used to be a problem. We mention it nearly every time we do Highland or Speyside or whatever. Most scotches that aren't Islers, we mention it. It never used to be a problem for us. It's just this kind of relatively new thing that's popped up as a reoccurring note that we get that we're not
overly fond of.
We're not overly fond of. It's not like offensive to the point where we don't enjoy the whiskey. It's just something that like we notice when it is less, we normally enjoy the whiskey a bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
just don't like that stale kind of note.
Yeah, it's like this. I don't know how to
it's like
describe
mildew staleness, but this luckily isn't too bad.
I tell you what, that coincided with us starting to appreciate and enjoying bourbon a lot. So maybe that's this kind of like thing. It's a flavor profile that's kind of like maybe they're mutually exclusive to like really be super fond of all the ones.
Probably.
Super fruity, fruit singles, tons of malt.
Fruit singles.
Yeah, like I'm getting like heaps of different fruits.
I'm getting the lifesavers now. Like
I'm getting like apricot. I'm getting apple. That mealy pear, like
they're zesty as well.
And I'm getting like a little bit of lemon oil or something. Yeah, like the zest. Tons of plums, raisins.
Yeah,
just like old fruit, old dark fruits mostly. But then there's also like a high note with a bunch of light fruits as well.
There's also nuts in there as well.
It's like and there's still that toffee. That toffee note is still like carrying all the way through. Same with the vanilla.
How much is it? $100 for a litre?
I actually cannot remember.
I mean, must mean relatively
around that. I thought it was a bit more, to be honest, like
115. But it's still really good value.
Yeah. Well,
especially for an 18-year-old.
Let's just actually check. Alright, so we just checked, pricing wise at the moment, it's like 130 something bucks. But that's without the 1 litre deal. I think when with the 1 litre deal, it's like 115, probably 118, knowing Nix with the whole pricing to age kind of whatever they did with the 105 as well. But either way, it's like a good value for an 18.
For sure.
Even 130, 40 bucks for an 18-year-old is pretty.
And it's
It's on the low end.
Yeah.
And it's 1 litre. That is, yeah,
So
it's
you get
definitely,
one.
yeah.
Extra
It was a travel exclusive.
The 18.
Yeah, and then it kind of got brought out to be retail. But
I want to try some of their older stuff.
I'll try something really old from them, like in their height, like they're 28 or something like that. Like another 10 years.
So
on
they're
that.
going to be like 250 max. I would
I
imagine.
don't think it scales proportionately. I think like you get above, 15 years, and every 5 years it, increases an extra 50% kind of thing. It's not like every year it goes up accordingly. You get like 28-year-olds that you see for like $3,000, but then they're 15-year-olds, only $200 bucks.
The 21's like 140. I just saw 150.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, rambling as usual.
Really nice whiskey.
It's a really nice,
Cheap.
yeah.
Perfect present.
It's a good present, yeah.
Anyone that's like into Scotch.
Nice kind of like vintage, cool looking
Yeah.
bottle. It's an age statement people will like.
Exactly. High age then, 18.
Yeah, it's still friendly if they do want to actually crack it open and get into it. It's enjoyable for most
Anyone
people,
would enjoy it,
who can enjoy a whiskey in general.
Those fruits are so good. I just
The
keep
fruits
going
are
back.
strong, yeah. But let
Kind
us
of
know.
counteracts the malt, which is good. I like that in this.
It does, but for me, if I'm gonna have, on that same sentiment, for me, it's Aberlour is like the one to do it for me because the sherry is so much like stronger that kind of counters the maltiness a bit more. But this does do it. I enjoy it. But let us know your opinion on Glenfarclas, this one specifically. Let us know if you've had the super old age statement versions, if they're worth putting down the money for. But yeah, if you enjoyed this episode of Everything Whiskey, leave us a like. If you want to see future episodes from us, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. If you do, we'll see you next one.
Cheers.